Welcome to the Chop Shop. Yours truly, Jim Hicks. Robert Haller is mobile today, and we have a special guest with us, Drive Nation's Jermaine ONeal, up from the DFW. What's going on, Jermaine? What's happening, Doc?
I'm pretty good, man. Just trying to do what everybody trying to do, figure it out in these crazy times.
Man, crazy times. I mean, what's the COVID like up there? What's the atmosphere like up there in DFW?
Man, you know what it really is? It's more of an uncertainty, and everybody, if you look at news telling you something different every day, and if you're a parent with a kid, the first thing you worrying about is the health and well-being of your kid. And obviously in youth sports, where it's a lot of contact, a lot of people all the time, it's an incredible concern, even for myself as a parent with the kid at the University of Texas playing volleyball at 50,000 student campus, and then with my son who's asthmatic in the 7th grade, well, he's going to 8th grade now, being in environments like that. So we're trying to take in as much information as we possibly can and make the appropriate decisions. And
so appropriate decisions. How hard is it with your 7th? You say your son is in the 7th grade?
Yeah, he's going to the 8th grade now. He just graduated from 7th, so he's an 8th grader now.
And so is he balling?
Yeah, he's balling. I think he has a chance. He's just learning how to work hard and know what that sacrifice is. And with many of these kids nowadays, bro, the video game has a huge impact on what they do on a day-to-day basis. But I think he learned a lot through the 8 to 10 weeks, during shutdown, and we've had a lot of time to really sit down and talk about dreams and what it takes to accomplish those dreams.
So tell me this. Now, I saw Mo Williams when he coached his son. We have something down in H-Town. One of our dear friends named Kim Corville. She created an acronym called PGW. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
PGW is Parent Gone Wild. So now I'm telling you, I saw Mo when he coached his son. Are you in that category?
Nah, I don't go. I'm very aggressive with my kid on, so I equate basketball to real life, right? And so I always tell my kids, like, look, if you turn on the television, I mean, this world is telling you how they feel about you, especially when you look like, look the way we do with the shade of color we have. So I tell them, I said, look, don't nobody care about your feelings and emotion, right? What they do care about is the outcome, and are you productive? Or did you not get the job done? And so that's how I really drive my kid and say, look, you're going to make mistakes and things are going to happen in the game, but I better not see you stop or quit, right? And you have to earn it every single day. And that's how I raised my kid.
And how long has he been playing?
He's only been playing for a couple of years now, 2 years now. I think a lot of it is, I played for so long. And then the last 2 years of my career, I played away from them. My wife and my son and daughter were living here in Dallas. We're building a house here. And so those 2 years of being away, I think he was mad with me. So he wasn't trying to play no basketball. He wasn't trying to watch no basketball. But as soon as I retired, he was all in. So, last 2 or 3 years, he's grown a lot.
What made you get into the grassroots sector rather than just being a hoop dad? Who influenced you to make that plunge into this muddy ass water of grassroots basketball? And did you know it was this bad?
So I've been in grassroots basketball for a while. I had a program down in South Carolina, where I'm from, in Columbia. But honestly, I got into grassroots because of my daughter, really, in volleyball. And we were playing, club volleyball, and I was like, man, we got to take this kid all over the place. She play club over here, but if we want to get our body taken care of, we got to take over here. If we want to get some nutrition, got to take over here. And so I just started kicking around the idea and started asking questions. And I was fairly new to the Dallas Metroplex, and I just said, look, what if I build something that we're able to do everything all under one roof? And I had I didn't have it wasn't a dream of mine, to be quite honest. It was just, I think it's just God's plan, because he opened up so many doors. But the influence for me to really answer the core of that question was I'm an inner city kid, was raised in a single parent house. who was influenced by an NBA player. And I'm sure you might know a couple of these names, but for sure this one is Xavier McDaniel, the X-Man.
X-Man.
Right? Yep, Seattle Supersonics. He came into inner city gym one day and took 24 kids out to a house on the lake. And at that point, I never even knew that type of living was even in my own city. Right? And he influenced us. He created this little team. He told us, hey, you can be whatever you want to be as long as you work hard at it. And, it gave me a different perspective that in many ways my mother couldn't reach as a single parent, that he could reach as a male figure and also as a mentor. And I just started looking at things differently. And I was fortunate enough to come in contact with Alex English as well, who's from South Carolina as well, and Tyrone Corbin. So I had 3 pro guys that had a lot of influence on me. And ever since that point in time, I knew if I ever made it, I was going to be giving back to the community.
Now, you mentioned a while ago your daughter played volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
And as a volleyball versus basketball, a lot of people on the basketball side of the fence, they'll whine about fees, they'll whine about this and about team fee. Explain the differences as far as on the volleyball circuit, as far as how much it costs for parents to get in. The price to get in, I think, is lower, but everything else is way more expensive. And so just give us the details on, because a lot of people may not know.
Man, it's a monster. So just to give you an idea, and here's the most dynamic part, right? So my daughter was the #1 player in the country coming out of high school, and we paid $8,000
for what?
For the season. How
long the season lasts?
The season is typically the same as basketball. It goes from December to July.
$8,000 for volleyball.
And that did not include the snack bag, which was another $500 for the season. That does not include travel. It did include a room, if I'm not mistaken. Every club is different every year. And the difference, here's the biggest difference, is you can't move. Right? When you commit, you would have to leave the state of Texas to go play somewhere else.
Really?
Yeah, they have an overseer. It's an overseer called NTR that works hand in hand with USA Volleyball. I love that. And the reason why I love that is because, I think, people have to do their homework and make decisions. We don't get a chance to just, take our ball and go home in real life, right? We make decisions and we got to figure it out. We know as parents when somebody's not treating our kid right, physically or mentally. But right now in basketball, if a kid don't play or don't score 15, 20 points in a game, then they want to jump ship and go somewhere else where it can be a little bit easier. Well, that's not what life is. And so that's the reason why I love volleyball, because you have to stay committed to that process. You have to compete and find your way through that process. And so volleyball is different. It's a lot more expensive, but those people are well committed to that process.
Well, okay, and just trying to peel back the banana on this thing. You're using the same gym for training, right? Volleyball versus basketball. The same gyms in many cases.
Yep.
What makes it more expensive than per hour than a guy that's working out basketball? I'm just trying to figure, and I'm really trying to fathom that. What makes it that much more expensive? Put it like that.
You know what? That's a good question. It's a good question. Because one, say like a facility like ours, one basketball court is 2 volleyball courts. So you're doubling down on that investment on one full basketball court. So I don't know necessarily. It's a better scenario that I'm still trying to figure out as a club owner. Why is girls basketball more expensive than boys basketball?
For example, elaborate.
Right, and so for example, we don't ever see tournaments on the boys' side more than maybe $395. Well, on the girls' side, we can see a tournament at $800. The average, we're seeing about $500 to $595, and even the dues are different. And so we're still trying to figure that out. on why it's such a significant difference in cost from girls sports to boys sports.
Now, and the end game is a lesser of the reward. A lot of these young boys, young males is playing traveling basketball.
Yeah.
Their end game is to make it, get the Division I scholarship, the same as for the girls. But the guys are trying to get to the NBA. They're trying to become a pro. Everybody thinks there's a pro. So that means the end game for them, their vision, that rabbit at the end of the end of the tunnel, right, so to speak, is to be the next LeBron.
Right.
So if the end game is higher for boys, then why is the expensive more for girls?
I don't know. I look at it. Here's how I look at it as a club owner, right? Because again, Drive Nation right now is a 2,000 kid strong group, right? We have 2,000 kids in Drive Nation right now, and the objective for us is all the same, right? So we're not responsible to get these kids to the pros. And if a parent is listening to somebody in the youth sport space saying, "Hey, look, I'm gonna get you to the pros," and that might not be the right person that you need to talk to. Right, because we try to control what we can control, right? Objective is whether it's girls basketball, boys basketball, girls volleyball, any other sport, is to get these kids to school for free, right? That's our objective, right? And that's why we're so prideful on, in just 2 years, the 2 senior class, we've had 52 Division I athletes, go off to college with scholarships. That's the only objective. As far as the economics, we see, the economics are different because it's kind of how it's been ran for decades. And, again, we've been digging, trying to figure out why girls basketball is so high. I do know from a volleyball perspective, just to be completely honest, it's a different demographic, right? And, it's more people on the volleyball side that can afford paying $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $8,000 for a volleyball season. But those are all great questions, but I think people are still trying to figure them out.
And you said the model you like for USA basketball, for volleyball, is that's kind of coherent and with the USA basketball. Do you think basketball? I say USA basketball. USA volleyball. Do you think that basketball could ever get into that type of model where you have somebody that's overseeing it in a state, and they're running, and you want to leave a team, you could not leave a team at all. In that, do you think can you even visualize that happening in a state like Texas?
I wish it was like that. Now, obviously, it's some things that come up that validates you wanting to leave, and I think that has to be the rule, right? If it is a situation where a coach has did something to a kid or something at that level, you should be allowed to leave. But we look at the transfer portal every year in college and basketball. It's like that because what we're doing at the youth level, right? Kids will jump. They want to play on 3, 4, 5 teams and, do all these different things. And that is, I wish it was an overseer the same way it was in volleyball, because it teaches people to take their time to make decisions, right? Talk to the people, in the organization. And I always use this for example. I'm never going to let a plumber do my accounting. You understand what I'm saying? I'm never going to let that, right? I'm going to make sure that they have a history of doing exactly what I'm trying to do with my kid, right? And so in basketball, it's everybody that wants to be in and get involved and do all these different things that help the kid, especially if it's one they think could be pro. And we see that all the way down to the 4th grade level. Everybody's a pro, right? And they don't realize there's a reason why it's 450 jobs, in the NBA and not, millions of positions, because it is a true 1 percentile. And the ones that actually make it have the best foundation, and the ones that can sustain that transition from high school to college to the pros are the ones that are mentally locked in and engaged. So I think a lot of those lessons should be taught at an early age. And an overseer having an overseer would help with that process. Well,
good luck in. Speaking of the process now, what do you what's your thoughts on the current state of grassroots basketball? You know, since you moved to Texas a few years ago, and you get to see it firsthand. I mean, it's different. First of all, compare to South Carolina, the state of basketball in that state over there, compared to Texas. What are the pros and cons?
That's a tough question. I think the game of basketball has changed pretty significantly everywhere. I think the difference in Texas is that it's kind of mandatory that you play, right? Not only play, you're playing multiple sports. I think the level of talent. I do believe that these kids are bigger, faster, and stronger at earlier ages, right? That's the biggest thing that jumped out at me right away moving to Texas is how big the kids were. We have 6'8", 6'9" kids in the seventh grade. Right. And so, that's one of the things that really was an eye opener to me. But, to be quite honest, is that the process of how you accomplish your goals hasn't really changed from the time that I came through. Right. The difference is that we have a lot more people involved in these kids' process. That's the biggest thing. I use this, for example. I remember having a meeting with a parent, and this is a high school kid. And we met over at the facility, and it was like 6 people in the room. I didn't even know who the dad was, right? The guy that I thought was the dad, he was the one that was talking the most, and the one that didn't talk much at all was actually the dad. That's the difference right now that we're seeing with these kids. And for me, and I'm going to be 100% honest with you, a lot of the kids look like me, right? The thing about the business of basketball, you only really get one real opportunity at this thing. And these owners, which we only have, I think, one black owner in basketball. I don't think we have any black owners in football. They are looking at us a certain way. If we don't have a certain look and deliver a certain way, they're not going to invest in you. And that's including the shoe companies as well. So we try to have these conversations with our kids. We are just like anybody else that's still learning. We got big very fast as far as the numbers, and we're really starting to settle down on our process and our identity of who we want to be.
And you just tune in, guys, to Jermaine ONeal. Great conversation. We're starting off talking about grassroots, talking about volleyball, talking about him being a hoop and a volleyball dad, and now we're going into you with Drive Nation, and this facility you established a few years ago. I mean, it's the only one that I know of in the country that is right at the airport. So looking back on it, is that still a good deal? What you fell into, or you don't know?
Yes, absolutely, still a good deal. What it has allowed us to do, that became a model. We've had multiple mayors in town, and right before the pandemic happened, we were starting to put together our financial outlook on 3 other facilities. One in South Carolina, one in Buffalo, and the one up north of Dallas. So it is done absolutely what it's supposed to do. Obviously, being at the airport, it's like being in its own town. They have their own rules. They're very strict about how things are done. And obviously, we've had some big events that have carried over to cars being parked, on the side of the road.
They tow them cars now, huh?
They do. And the difference is now too that all of those, if you get a chance, and whenever you come back to Dallas, it's a bunch of warehouses being built around us. So now, we have the ability to use all of their parking as well for those events. So it's been a learning curve for us. The airport has been great on communication. It's still tough business because it's a governmental entity. But as far as the business itself, that complex sits dead center in the Metroplex, literally dead center. So the accessibility to kids being able to get back and forth has done what it's supposed to do.
And if you have any question, guys, right now, we're going to take out the time to welcome everybody that's on YouTube feed and the Facebook feed. We're streaming live right now, simultaneously on the Chop Shop. Yours truly, Jim Hicks, is Jermaine ONeal. Yes, this is the NBA star, and who's now is a hoop dad / volleyball dad now, and a business, of course, not to mention, of a conglomerate builder, as what he's done with his empire. And so a lot of the things, speaking of business, uh, what do you install? Because you mentioned earlier about your son. You said it's more than basketball. You
Yeah.
install different things, elements in him.
Yeah.
With your program, Drive Nation, tell us how the name came about and what do you install in those kids from your personal standpoint, other than basketball?
No, that's a great question. I start with the name first. John Nation was originally a shoe and apparel company that we ended up selling to Amazon. And yeah, I kept the marks for, I don't know why I kept them. It was just really God's will, to be completely honest. And then when I got an opportunity to get into the youth sports sector, I just felt like that was kind of the thing. Let's keep the marks, let's keep the spear, which we have a definition behind that as well, and it fell into place. As far as how I run the business, and I'm gonna be quite honest, Jim. Again, when I got into this business, it wasn't something that I was dreaming about for years. It just happened, and just like any other new business, you learn, and then being in a new city that I'm not from, you're learning your environment, you're learning the temperament, you're learning how things are done, and learning who you can work with, who you can't work with. On top of it, and then what I realized, I said, look, why am I sitting back and trying to figure this out when I've just been through it at every facet, from high school to the pros. That is good and bad. Most people want to talk about everything good that they did, but no, you need to talk about the things that the bad decisions that you made and some of the situations you went through, so these kids and these parents can use it as a template to better themselves. And so basically, that's how I run the program. Believe it or not, I meet with every team we got, and I think that's important for them to hear my voice. I think that's important for them to see what the guidelines are. And hasn't been perfect for everybody. But I think if you get away from your mission, then you don't have a foundation to stand on. And so now we're starting to really settle down and say, hey, here's our process, what we want to do. Every kid is different about their dreams and what they want to accomplish, but the process to getting there is typically all the same.
Now, what we do now, Jermaine, we'll go and give a lot of the viewers an opportunity to toss some of their questions to you. And one thing about the audience of the Boom Boom Room, well, that's what we call it, the platform, where they're commenting from all over the country, all over the world right now, and they're very educated audience, and that's what I definitely want to add. And first question is from Barry. He said, "Do you get an automatic bid, right, into the EYBL because you played in the league? How do they determine that?"
No, so that's a great question. So I've had a long history with Nike. I had a shoe for 6-7 years. I had my own shoe for 6-7 years. I have a lifetime deal with Nike as well, for me and my family. And I know I've been knowing those guys for a long time. Nike is at a place now where, and they just put in a tiered system. So I'm sure you're probably going to hear a lot about this if you haven't already, that you have to represent and accomplish certain goals. You have to run your organization as a corporate company now. You don't get an automatic bid. They just pick and choose who they want to represent their company. And with me, it was easy because I was building a facility as well, and they know my temperament towards business, and they know how I am as a person. So that was the main reason why they allowed me in inside the EYBL.
And next question, we're going all over. We're bouncing from topic to topic now, Jo. So I'm gonna let you know that right now.
Okay.
Fort Being Ballers, he posted a question that you probably been asked 1,000 times in your career. So maybe you might have to find. I'm gonna add something to the question, and to give it a little piece of enlightenment when you respond. He says, "Jim, please ask him about the fight he was in when he was playing for the Indiana Pacers." I'm gonna say. I'm going to go and I guess extend that question. I mean that question and say, well, I'm going to ask you about the fight you was in, and Was that your only squabble in a game?
I've had that. No, so I've had some situations. One thing about me, I've always been a little bit edgy. A lot of that is because of my environment. A lot of that is the makeup of who I am. The brawl itself, and just so y'all know, just look out for this. I've never really wanted to talk about it. You can't dig up no videos of me talking about this thing because I always was upset because it derailed my probably my best opportunity to win a championship, right? Because that team was equipped and built for it. But just so y'all know, if you really want to have a real insight on this, I went out and did a deal with Netflix. This thing is in editing right now. It will be launched in the fall of this year. And it is a true inside look on everything, pre, during, and post the brawl. The reason why I wanted to do this was because I thought for questions like this, people have so many questions. I have kids that are in like the 4th and 5th grade always asking me about that. They wasn't even born. So their parents are bringing it up, right?
They really asking for their parents.
Right, yeah. And that's kind of where I said, look, you know what? Let's put this thing to bed. They do this anniversary every year. It's 15 years later. Let's do I went out and got the Wade brothers, 2 Academy Award winning directors. Obviously, Netflix is what it is. And I think we captured the story so everybody can say, oh, okay, that's what happened. And that'll give them ability to then put it away. We can all go on with our lives and do something a little bit different.
Now, next question is from Mindy. She asked, what made you move to Texas, specifically Dallas?
Yeah. So Dallas, I always liked Dallas. When we came here and played, it was always sunny. I can't ever remember coming to Dallas when it was just rainy and the weather was terrible. It was no state tax. So me and my wife made a list of 5 cities that we felt like would be good for our family. And if I didn't make another dollar for the next 50 years, which city best suited us? We came here. It was one of those things where my daughter at the time had never been to a public school. And then we came over to South Lake Carroll, and it reflected to the level of education that she was quite used to. So my wife loved it. Now they have some challenges in South Lake Carroll right now with making sure that they understand diversity is happening in our country. But overall, it's been a great place to raise my kids. Ultimately, to be 100% real, Dallas really only made it on this list because I'm a Cowboys fan.
Now it's seeping up out your ass. You sit there trying to hold back. That's what it is. You one of them. You one of them. Okay. Come on.
Listen, it ain't paid me back yet, but it's coming.
Yeah. And you should see, I'm still rocking my Houston Oilers stuff right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm Warren Mooning today. That's how we roll down in H-Town. Now, speaking of, since you've been in Dallas, what are your thoughts of the Houston versus Dallas rivalry? Is it is it really a rivalry, or is it intriguing? But just give us your thoughts on it, elaborate and ponder on Houston versus Dallas.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's intriguing. I don't know if I'm educated enough to make that. I haven't been here long enough to make a true statement on it. What I am seeing is that we're seeing these kids go both ways, right? Dallas kids go up to Houston to play. Houston kids come down to Dallas to play. I still haven't really, totally understood it. The best word to probably describe it is just competitive, right? They want to, these kids want to. They want to represent their towns, but it's so much of a mix right now. Whether with John Lucas, the Hoops, Drive Nation. Hell, now we got people going over to Oklahoma to Team Griffin. So it's right now it's a mixed bag of everything. But I can tell you this: I haven't seen the level of talent better than Texas in general. And I think Texas is representing at all levels, no matter what city you're from. Whether it's baseball, football, basketball, or soccer, it's a huge history of tremendous talent, and I think that's going to continue for the next 20 plus years.
Indeed, it's definitely an abundance of talents and collectively. And now you have to, in recent years, you insert the consistent productivity of a San Antonio, Austin area, which is known in Texas as ASAC. That's Austin, San Antonio, Killeen. That area has become a dominant force in the state as well. So, and the thing is, so why is it that for the people, why do you think it's so hard coming from South Carolina, you've been all over the country, you were in the grassroots sector before coming to Texas. On the national scale, what do you think hinders so many of the players from Texas from becoming, from getting that early acceptance from the national analysts?
You know, that's interesting, man, because I mean, I'm not sure because when I talk to, some of these bigger agencies, and I talk to college coaches and hell now NBA teams, Texas is at the top of the list. How some of these kids are slipping through the crack, and maybe it's just the bare volumes of the kids. That's the only way I can see it. Where it's so many of them, like you said, Central Texas, Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, Houston. I mean, it's so many, kids and so much talent. Maybe the level of recruiting and evaluation is down. Maybe that's the case, but I don't see why these kids won't be seen unless they're just playing in their backyards. I mean, it's a reason why we started Drive Nation Central Texas. There's a reason why we started Drive Nation San Antonio. There's a reason why we started Drive Nation Houston, because of that, right? Oklahoma, all the bordering areas, but Texas in general is a very, very important area because as we did our research on it, it's talent galore. And we're going to do our best. I don't know why it's happening before. We're going to do our best to highlight the kids that we have, and hopefully, we can learn. And Jim, I got to say this while I'm thinking about this. The biggest disappointment that I've had being in Texas.
Get it up, say it with your chest.
Listen, trust me, I have no problem saying it. We lack the ability to work together. Right. And to me is and I shouldn't even say it's disgusting in many ways, right? If a kid leaves Drive Nation to go play somewhere else, God bless him, right? I support him. There's no hard feelings, right? We as parents, we get up every day, we work to put ourselves in a position to make decisions for our kids. That doesn't mean if he goes to Pro Skills or Houston Hoops or wherever it is, Southern Assault, that don't mean that we can't work together. Right? At some point, we got, as leaders, and especially a lot of us look alike. Right? If we ain't talking about working together and creating out more opportunity, then what we talking about? We can't bitch and moan about what we don't get. Right? I can guarantee you, Jim, I'm on the phone at all times. And, I know a lot of people complain, say I don't pay kids. Trust me, I would never pay kids when I got $14 million into a building that can then be affected. I can't come home and tell my wife that I did some BS and I lost the money in the building. So what we want to do is we want to create more opportunities, just like you said, so we can bring more camps, we can bring more scouts, we can bring more evaluators, we can bring more people to evaluate our kids, because the objective is not Drive Nation winning a Peace Jam or Southern Assault winning, whatever they want to win, or whoever else. It's about getting these kids to school for free. Right. And then if we are truly impacting these kids, then they're going to come back and do things for the club. They're going to come back and give real information. And then when we talk about, and I don't want to get too deep on you guys, the difference is in our communities right now is a lack of information, right? Lack of opportunity. But if we start influencing more and more of our kids in these sports, they're going to turn around and do the very thing that we need to happen for our communities to be better. And that's what I like to see for, these club teams, club organizations. Let's do more together. If you get beat, you earn the loss. If you win, you earn the win. But at the end of the day, this ain't their pinnacles. So we need to stop acting like these clubs are their pinnacles.
So you're saying work together. What would be the perfect storm in working together? What would be the perfect? Give us an example of an alliance that in this, if you had a I have a dream moment, what would be the alliance that you can provide an example of doing, of it happening?
Yeah, one of the things that we see, right? So I'm a kid that it was nowhere in the world I can be sitting here talking to you, nowhere in the world that I would have been able to go through what I've been able to go through in my life if I didn't have assistance. Because I was a kid that was raised in a single parent house that didn't have a lot of economics. Well, as many of these kids in our environment in this youth sports space that are living the same scenario. The first thing that we look at as club directors is how can we, bring money to the table to support these kids. Well, the first thing to do is, we got some of the bigger clubs in Texas that's in the country, period. Right. And so why aren't we working together and creating an economic system where we work together? We the driving force behind how we raise money, do events, then we're able to go back and do things for our communities, whether it's food giveaways, whether it's, supporting the kids on their travel, whether it's getting them, down to shelters and letting them feed the hungry. There's a lot of things that we can do. So to me, the answer is all of our big clubs here, or clubs in general who wants to be involved, come together and create an economic portal, right, in our region where if we are playing, they will follow us, right? All other people will come and follow us. It then creates an opportunity for us to do more for our surrounding areas.
So creating that economic portal, that means like a regional circuit up under the circuit, or what?
It could be whatever. I'm gonna be Jim. Just to be honest, brother. I mean, when we look around, it ain't very many of us doing the tournaments that we playing in.
Well, wait a minute. Let me sit up here. Robert Hall is joining us right now, and let me get my.
What's up, Coach?
What's
up, Jermaine, man? I just got stationary, man. I'm just good. Let me tell you something. I was listening to you on the way over here to my house. I'm just saying, Jermaine been even watching the Chop Shop, or he been reading my mail, because dude, everything you were saying, I was saying check. I'm gonna tell you, I haven't had the advantage of being around you and know you, but some of your great friends are my great friends. Nico talks about you glowingly, and so I sit back and say, this guy gets it. I mean, let me tell you something. You got to realize, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if y'all have talked about this. This young man came straight out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
Look how intelligent he is. Jermaine, I mean, you can stop your ears up if you don't want to hear this, but people got to know this. Somewhere, this guy, I mean, I just couldn't wait to get. Because I was just going to say, no, I won't have time. But I had to get on this show because when I find a like-minded guy, you and I need to talk. I didn't know you thought that way about summer basketball. I sit there and listen you talk about your daughter and playing volleyball and how much the cost. And man, let me tell you something, man. It's a pleasure that you, and I saw you kept trying to call in. I said, and we didn't have you on the call. I'll take the L for this one. And but we got to bring you back. You got to bring you back.
And what we do is we got some more questions lined up for you.
Okay.
And this is first, though, before I get back to the questions, you were right at something. You had got, and you had went right to the stop sign. I don't even know if you were gonna stop. The light turned yellow. And you said about events. A lot of these events aren't done by people that look like us, that people are flocking to. Mm-hmm. Elaborate on that.
No question on, what they're charging or whatever it is, they going and they doing it. And, and it's interesting that, we make this, again, here's what my mother always told me. She said, son, you ain't got to be in love with people to do business with them. Right. But you got to be able to trust them. Right. And so I don't have to, I've had some, people, I don't know what it is about the kids that drive these people crazy. When the kid leave to go play somewhere else, all of a sudden they don't like you for the rest of their life. Well, for me, I want the kids that want to be with me. If I have a kid that leave, I can guarantee you, anybody that knows that been through Drive, I see them, hug them, parents, everything, right? Support them, because it's not about Drive Nation. It's about when they with Drive Nation, they can, it's what we can do to help them with their process. And for that, the one that I would love to see is for us, if we're truly about the kids and we're truly about doing right by them and teaching them things and teaching them values and teaching them process and teaching them discipline, why aren't we working together to create that? Because us together is stronger than us individually, right? And I know from my perspective, I lean on corporate America pretty heavy. That is important for us. We in Dallas, Dallas top 5 in the country in Fortune 500 companies being based here. So I lean very heavy on that because, again, when I look at these kids, they remind me a lot of me. When I look at these parents, they remind me a lot of my mother, right? And so the importance of us, it has to be greater than us just showing up to a tournament, taking a trophy home that, by the way, may fall apart by the time we get to the car. It has to be about the impact and effect that we have not only on our kids on the court, but off the court, and demand excellence beyond that point.
Man, he's spitting them out. We got one from Ken Lutz, and his question is, from what you experienced in youth sports as a director, what would you do differently if you had to start over from scratch?
Well, again, one of the things that jumps out at me right away is I thought I could work with everybody when I got here, and that's not the case. You got to stay true to the values of what you are as a business person or just a person in general. And the people that have the insight and the vision or like-minded, minds, those are people that you want to work with. That's the one thing I would probably change. And we've had some turnover at Drive Nation because it took a loss, right? We've grown as a club, but internally we wasn't whole. And I'm not afraid to admit that, right? We didn't hit the note that we supposed to hit, but I can promise you, we are starting to stride into it now because I failed early at it, right? Mm-hmm. And so I try to tell parents as well. It's like being in a game. Don't get mad and want to jump ship because your kid ain't playing well. He has to play bad. He has to understand how to play good, right? And the same thing about our process with Drive Nation. So I would say that's the thing that jumps out at me right away.
And I mean, great questions, guys, on both platforms coming up. For
Jimmy, I saw a question from B. Scott, and I think you
shoot it.
You went over it, and she was talking about Jermaine. We have a school down here called Legacy, the Legacy School of Sports and Sciences, right? So they were talking about it on the show yesterday, and she was just saying, Jermaine, we need help on getting computers for this school. So I just wanted to plug
I didn't even see that one yet.
In case Jermaine, because me just hearing about your philanthropic heart, they got a school down here just need computers called the Legacy School, not just for you, but everybody. All of us gonna pitch in. So she asked that question earlier, and I thought I'll just bring it up because I think Jimmy didn't see it. But you can,
what's interesting about that? We talk about, especially in today's era, right? We talk about systematic oppression, yes. Right? So I did an event down in Oak Cliff. Me and my wife. I don't know if you guys heard about it, but I went in and we gave $20,000 to those kids and those families.
Yes.
For Christmas, right? We did, got on charter buses, shout out to Target for the last minute deal they was able to put together. And again, this happened when I was in the shower, just thinking like, what else can we do to impact these community? But here's the glaring part about this. I walked into that elementary school and I talked to the principal. She's happy and everything. And she's like, hey, we're really struggling. So I appreciate you coming. I said, look, I want to be around. I want to create a long-term relationship. And I said, well, tell me what else is on the top of your agenda. She told me they don't have a computer in the building in 2019. Wow. So when we go back and look at systematic, oppression, it's because they're not giving us the tools to compete. And on that same breath, she said that those kids are still outperforming some of the kids in suburban America that has the tools. So imagine if we figure out ways and we create opportunities and we work together for our community, what we can do.
Yes.
But until we get out of this trophy mentality and we got to be this and be that to get this kid. And let me say this. If you are aspiring to be a Nike EYB, I can't speak for Adidas and Under Armour. We lost 8 teams this year. They have sent out an email that we're going to lose probably another 8 for the 2021 season, right? It is a tiered situation right now. So if your objective is to get a kid to go get an EYBL bid, so you can make 60, 80, 100K. Well, guess what? They're not giving that out anymore. Right. If you're going to be a part of these brands, they're saying you got to be a corporate company that has a give back to your community.
Yes.
You have to have
community service projects.
Community service. You got to have academic driven philosophies in your. It's an allotment of things that has to happen. So now you're forced to do it, right? If you want to be a part of it. And again, if you know me, if you see me, I am very approachable. I'm always with the teams. Let's sit down and talk.
And another thing on that tier program that you didn't add. Now, of course, there's a whole lot of things, but this is very important. And it puts some of the newer programs at a disadvantage. But your alumni, the abundance of them coming back and giving back with your program. That's one of the initiatives in that. Yep. So if you got alumni from your grassroots sneaker Nike program and he goes on, now instead of putting them on a wall and boasting to everybody, oh, I had this guy and that guy. Now you're going to be measured by Nike on the tiers as to how much those guys come and give back through your program. Not giving necessarily, not money. They didn't want to put guys on the spot. Am I right? You can correct me if I'm wrong, J.O.
100% right.
That's important. So now you get to see everybody's doing the bragging and the head counting and the name dropping. You get to see the community service projects that those guys are coming back to incorporate through that same grassroots program. That's going to be fascinating to watch over the next couple of years. It's now. We got questions galore, and they're up and at it. And Hannah, this is a great combo. Now, here's somebody. Barry says, "Would you give an elite basketball player advice if the kid doesn't play in your program?"
Absolutely. Again, no matter what program they play in, it's the same dream and the same process, right? What I mean process is that your commitment, right? And I use 3 words in our program. Mission, purpose, process, right? What is your mission? What is the purpose behind your mission? And what are you going to do in your process to accomplish that mission? Right. And so, and you can line them, mission is first, you can go with purpose and process, however you want to do it, but it's the exact same thing. Right. And again, for me, I like to see people make it. Again, I can guarantee you, and people don't remember, I can't tell you who won the EYBL Peace Jam last year. I can't tell you who won the tournament 2 weeks ago. I can't, right? And so I'm not going to live and die by that. That's not the objective. And again, Jim, we talked about it before Rob got on, is that we've had 52 Division I athletes in 2 senior classes.
52?
52.
You counting girls and boys.
Right. So our 2 senior classes, and so remember now is girls basketball, boys basketball, and then our senior volleyball.
Oh, gotcha.
So for us, that's the only objective, right? And so if we can get information, if I'm out at the store, if I can give you some knowledge, then that's what I'm gonna give. You don't have to play for Drive Nation to have knowledge. Hell, we'll be in a lot better position as a country if we do that.
Man, I mean, you know what? This conversation, and a lot of people they know us on the Chop Shop by now. Our conversations on the Chop Shop, we don't call them interviews because we don't do interviews. Right. We have conversations. Our conversations are not pre-scripted. We don't have a
Right.
teleprompter in front of us. We're not texting Jo and he's not texting back. He doesn't get to see. He doesn't see. So this stuff is basically what you see on the Chop Shop every day, Monday through Thursday, is the equivalent of a rapper freestyling and still spitting out hits. That's what I'm just telling you. That's what we're doing. And
Right.
so I mean, a lot. And understand, on top of that, as I explained to the audience at the top of the show, this is my very first time. I've produced the show, I think, twice before, since with this new software. But this is my first time producing with a third person.
Right.
And so all of that means I'm playing the piano. I'm John Legend on this thing right now. I'm playing the piano and I'm harmonizing and it's still engaging with the viewers on both platforms. This is not easy to do and still keep the conversation flowing. And so as what we do is we'll get right to our next question. And Stacy asked, takes you back to the topic a while ago when you mentioned about the I have a dream and the perfect harmony of how it could create some harmony. He says, can you name some individuals that you think can work, that you can work with to make this happen, or you think that can work together, that can make it happen in as far as working together, that topic?
Is that are you talking about club owners, directors?
Well, club owners are people.
I'm open. I mean, again, it's the only way I'm not doing business with you if I know for a fact that you've done some BS and you're not about the right thing. I'm
Is
not
there
going
a lot of them out there?
It's a lot of them out there, right?
Yes, of course.
But
Jim,
one of the things that I've learned through processes is, if you create a system that will put you in a position to understand who's not doing what, because again, we can look at every business level, and it's always going to be some sort of foolery that is happening. But if you create a format and a business structure that right away lets you know who's not doing what and who's doing what, it makes it easier. And I'm gonna be quite honest with you guys, in this space, in the youth sports space, it ain't that difficult, right? And so I will, we got teams right here in Dallas, and I use Pro Skills, for example, and I'm okay with saying that because I think it's kind of noted. As much as Jeff don't want to work with us, I'll work with him for the betterment of the kids. I know kids over there, right? I know kids over there that's played for Drive Nation. So why not work together? I work with Vaughn and those guys. I work with Hal and those guys, or Schumacher. I work with, Taylor Griffin. I work with anybody that wants to be about the right thing. Again, you don't have to be in love with the person to work with them, right? It just has to have a great foundation that's gonna give you the return on the ideas that you set forth.
Man, I'm thinking, Jermaine, I'm going to, when I see the energy coming from young fellas as yourself, then it relights my candle to be more willing to go back into a space that I once served in the basketball sector, whereas I was the fixer for a lot of people, meaning for the betterment. And then after a while, when stuff got so wacky, it's like, oh, the hell with that. I'm not even getting in the middle of this stuff, man. It's crazy over here. It's crazy over there. Everybody's dialing 911 over nothing. And so, but now seeing your energy and seeing where you're coming from, and that's one of the things about a platform such as the Chop Shop, is that it enables people to understand what's making you tick. And after today, in this short time, I'm positive that I understand a portion. I don't understand you as a whole. I understand what makes you tick about these topics. And that's pure and it's genuine, because game recognizes game. And and so with this, I want to let you know, that part. I'm going to be looping back with you over the next month, next couple of weeks, next month, in order to cultivate, to help tie some knots and to grow your city, our state into a platform. Whereas whenever there's something going on, it's like certain parties. You guys, you played in the league back when, and you and Hatter. Y'all know when P. Diddy gave his party and Kenny Smith gives the All-Star weekend. It's certain parties you got to go to. I don't give a
Yeah.
doggone how you feeling. I got to go show my face over here.
Yeah.
That's how the national analysts and the people around the country should feel about something on a consistent level that goes on in Texas.
Yep.
You see, it took Glenn Smith had to fly and to tease the world by bringing LeBron James. And think of what the headlines was. It wasn't he was bringing Sierra Canyon. LeBron is coming to town.
Right. Right.
Dwayne Wade is coming to town. You see how you had to sugarcoat and stick that peel inside the biscuit, then feed it to them, and then everybody think they got a biscuit, but you're really taking the peel to get well. But this is what the people will feel eventually, that they have to come to Texas on a consistent level, and they don't do. That they don't do for our events. Meaning, I'm not talking about me personally. I'm talking about the flavor, our people.
Yeah. Yep.
And we just have to be able to go and find a way. While 2021 coming up, Hatter, people can find a way to just, somebody has to sacrifice. You don't have to do 20 damn events. If another dude just want to do one, that's what he want to do. Let them. It works. That platform worked in softball for years, for the chitlin circuit, for grown men. What you got to have?
You and Jermaine, y'all help me here. So as good as the African-American owned events are doing well, his event did well, your events does well. So you saying it's another level that we need to go to, J.O. That's what you're saying. It's another level we can and should be able to go to.
Yep. So the idea, right, is we got to get out of the mentality of wanting to own everything, 100% of everything, right? We get out of the mentality of wanting to own 100% of everything, then we're going to be in a much better place, because the rest, if you look outside of our culture, well, they're teaming up in a way and running away to the bank, right? I learned this playing in Golden State my last year, and the Bay is an interesting place. So if you look around the Golden State Warriors, like that front row of those seats,
yes,
is multi-billionaires, and everybody else has a couple $100 million. What I realized is that all those people are in the same deals, whether it's the Twitters, the Facebooks, YouTube, all of them invested into all the same deals because they came together and they got on the phone and they said, hey, here's how we want to structure it. Here's how we're going to win. Right? Again, you don't have to be in love with that person, but you gotta sacrifice something for something bigger. Right? And we're not doing that. We want to control everything 100%, and it doesn't make any sense.
Jermaine, I saw some when my son was playing for the Houston Hoops. I saw something that's on this line, and I want people. Let's bring it to Houston. People should know this. Steven Trauber was one of the sponsors of the Houston Hoops 17 under team, and Hal Pastner. Those two guys didn't get along that well, Jermaine. But Jermaine, at every tournament, both of them had a red Houston Hoop shirt on, sitting right there next to each other. It was oil and vinegar. But for the greater cause, they put their petty differences aside and said, man, this business. This ain't personal. This business. And maybe I just think we just do too much personal.
Exactly.
We get a life sentence. We get a life sentence, as he just mentioned a while ago. You take receive a kid from another summer program, and that guy will give you a life sentence, hate you for life, right? And the other person go and break in your house and do whatever. That's another different color. And guess what? With them, you okay with it. You're okay.
Again, I hate to say this. And
say it,
especially during times that we're living in now. But the point is, it is a slave mentality. Mm-hmm. And for me, I'm proud to be black. I appreciate what it represents. I really appreciate every race, but for my race in particular, until we start addressing us and repair us within. They're never going to help us. Outside, no other race, they're going to look and see the things that we do amongst each other, and they're going to say, you know what? They ain't even taking care of each other, so why should we?
I got something for you, Jermaine. Jermaine, when you were in the league, you were represented by, when ONeal?
ONeal, yeah.
The whole time, right?
The whole time.
I'm watching how the guys used to work for him. See, guys like you put him in power, right? But I look at the guys that used to work for him, like Bob
Myers.
Bob Myers and Rob Pelinka. I watched these guys go off. Jermaine, I know probably if you could do it again and understand the power that you had as a player. The power of choice and choosing somebody that looked like you to be put in that position of power. And then maybe, let's say Jimmy represented you, and maybe Jimmy would have been in a position to hire a Stacy, a Houston, or a Doug Jones, and put them in position. Think about it. ONeal's tree. Those two guys I just mentioned represent two of the most storied franchises in NBA history. And ONeal, blessings, nothing against him, but I looked at his client list over the years, and most of them look like us. Jermaine, explain that to me, and help me. Just explain it just a little bit to me, and understand what can we do now to change that paradigm.
Man, we gotta, so it was not a ton of representation that we had at the time when I made my decision.
At that time, okay.
That had people that looked like me. Arn, for me personally, he became a father figure for me, and to this very day, I talked to him on this past Saturday. The difference is now I'm not sure are people allowing the business to not relate to the kids that look like us, that from the agents that look like us, right? I think the business has stepped into play so heavy that it's a disconnect, right? And so to me, I think that has a lot to do with it. Obviously we have a couple kids that are getting ready for the draft, and I kind of listen to their process and what they were trying to do. I'm not sure. History speaks for itself, right? And if we have a lot of changeover. So if I'm an athlete and I'm looking for an agent and I see he has a ton of changeover, right? That right away is telling me that that's not a good agent. Now, unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately. Fortunately, we have some pretty good agents, a couple of pretty good agents that look like me. Unfortunately, we have more that look like me that hasn't been great agents. Mm-hmm. That's the truth. As far as turnover, right? It was no way that myself, Tracy McGrady, Reggie Miller, and many others were going to leave Arn as a white man because he always did right by us. The only way that you leave an agent is they're not doing right by you. Now, I'm going to say I'm trying to not get too deep into this. I promise you, the first week or two in August, it's going to be a huge announcement. You're going to hear a huge announcement. I'm coming back on here with you guys, and I'm going to answer that. It's going to be You can quote me on this.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you an answer that I know that you're looking for. I'm gonna give you the answer, but I can't because I don't want to do a spoiler. But
no,
if you have me back on the first week of August,
okay,
I've got something mega for you guys.
Say no more.
How do you heard that? You heard that?
I got it. He
say the first week of August.
Yep, I got it. I done wrote it down already.
And I know the people can't hardly wait because I was about to say that this conversation is we would be shortchanging the Boom Boom Room if we did not invite you back. There's too much that's left on the table. Too much. We done thawed the meat out. We got to cook it, man. Or at least put it in the refrigerator. We got to do something with this meat. We done let it sit all night.
Okay.
You know,
we good.
So with that, I have to. This is Baby Friday, guys, and a lot of the questions we One question is at Fort being just put up. He said, have you talked to your homeboy Steven Jackson, and how do you feel about the police and systematic oppression? I already know the answer, but I will not spoil it. So we can let you tap on that on our way out the door in this conversation.
Yeah, I speak to Jack all the time. Obviously, I feel the story. I'm from Columbia, South Carolina, where they flew the Confederate flag on the State House, for 100+ years, right? South Carolina is the first slave state. I didn't even know that it was even okay to even mingle with other people outside of my race until I left South Carolina. And when I look at how the area that I was raised in, I had to go take an SAT prep class on the other side of town, right? Because they didn't give my teachers the tools to educate us the way that we be, right? I again go back to the elementary school here in Dallas, or many other these areas that we deal with. I mean, these people are so underserved, and until we start talking economics and building new economic systems, that's the only way for change. And the police brutality, bro. I mean, the difference is it's a new day. This has been going on every day for the last 100 years. I can guarantee you. The difference is now they're just getting caught on these new phones. And now it's time for reform. It's time for people to understand that we shouldn't be looked at as third-tier people because of the color of our skin. So I'm excited about we're actually working together on doing some things. Steven Jackson, I shout him out because he's a guy that's willing to sacrifice himself for the betterment of others. Whether it's the brawl, whether it's what he's doing today, he's out there marching. And I commend that. I love him. I look forward to working with him. I look forward to working with y'all and anybody else who out there that's about the right thing.
Man, hey man, guess what? This was one great week of Chop Shop. We keep raising the bar. we keep raising the bar with this show, and it's amazing because we just started off as a hobby. This was our golf.
Yeah.
This was our golf course. This was our version of Cheers. This was black folk. This is what it was. It was the midday sports happy hour. Actually, let me tell you something. When we started, we would actually go to happy hour when we leave the radio station every day. This was, that's why hell it got me big as hell. I've been sitting around, got me drinking apple cider and all this mess with him. But understand, but now we're able to provide, to amplify the voices of people like yourself. And we will continue to do so. We just want you to keep pushing. And we can hardly wait until the 1st of August to get that breaking news. Matter of fact, you need to break it. How about you breaking that news on the Chop Shop? Not coming and talking about it when it's over with. Break it on the Chop Shop.
Don't give it to Stephen A. Smith, Neil.
No. So here's what I would do. The day that we're launching the news, okay, I'll make sure it's the same day I come on, and I'm gonna bring a guest with me. And then I think what you're gonna realize now when you hear this and see this, it's all gonna make sense now.
Okay.
It's all gonna be tied into each other. I'm very excited about it, brothers. And y'all keep doing what y'all doing. I've seen and heard nothing but great things about you. Yeah, meet me on here anytime. I'm here.
All right,
you,
man.
baby.
Appreciate it, man.
Got
And of course, Jermaine ONeal, you get over today. If you're in the DFW area, they have a league going on starting
The Circuit
tonight,
League. Yep, the Circuit League.
the Circuit League. And
Yep.
there's some
Okay.
team from Houston that's going to be there. They call it Texas Takeover. I mean,
Oh, that's
Texas Takeover.
right.
And let me tell you
Right.
right now, they are going to sweep whoever they're playing tonight. I'm telling you right now. Takeover Ned.
Hold on. Let me check that schedule because if they playing it.
No, I bet. No, I think I know what probably happened. You know, how somebody you don't want to play against that team because that's that team you don't really want to play against. Take
Now,
over
listen.
Ned. Remember that.
Jim, listen, I'm old school, right? We ain't running the Dodge or nothing. If
You can
go
switch
get
the schedule around. You can switch the
that's
schedule around right now. Switch the schedule around. You can modify it if you want to. Take over Ned.
Yeah, listen. On the second, if this thing clear up, if we can play the second session, because we're not gonna do any more games after this week. If this thing don't clear, right? We just can't ethically do that. But if this thing clears up in that second session, I promise you, if they got a 17s. Matter of fact, I'm gonna bring y'all down. I'm gonna put you up in a hotel myself so you can watch it.
If you come down there, we'll do the chop shop from Dallas on that Thursday. If you put that together, we'll come up there on that Thursday and we'll do the chop shop from up there. We'll give you that. That's what we do.
Hey Jim, listen. Before I let you go, if we win, I'm not a big drinker, but I'm a 1942 type of guy. So we win.
Don Julio.
You treat me, and if we lose, I treat you on top of the room.
Guess what? Guess what?
I got that, coach. I don't drink, but guess what? I'm gonna put it in my bar.
Alec, guess what?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, what? I got him, Alec. Got him.
You got.
Tell you, all I gotta do is make sure the game is over. You know, I'm the type of guy when I'm be watching. Make sure the last game don't go after 9, so you can make it over to Total Wine or Specs and get my sack when we head on back.
Oh, we ain't worried about him. He gonna honor it. He gonna honor it. So, but coach, man, thank you so much, man. I can't wait to get to Dallas now, man. And we got to get together. I'm gonna call Nico tonight, and I'm gonna tell him I had you on the show. Let's go. And I can't wait to hear what he's talking about.
That's it right there. Of course, man. Thanks so much for everybody tuning into the Chop Shop, man. Great combo with Jermaine ONeal. Don't forget, you can go back and watch this show in its entirety on YouTube and or Facebook. And make sure you share the show share the show to your timelines and your friends. Don't be selfish. Share this show out there. This is some good, honest, pure dialogue. Good conversation.
Great job.
And we'll see you guys on Monday. Make sure you be safe this weekend out there around wherever you may be. And be safe. Right. Most importantly, be smart. See you guys on Monday. Chop shop.
Yeah. All right.